Hi, welcome to VR Me Up devlog number 10. I'm really happy to make it to number 10, double digits. When I started this channel, I never thought I would get this far, but here I am. Thank you to all my followers and everyone who has supported me along the way. It's been a little while since my last devlog, and that's because I have been working hard on improving the performance of the WebEx or Three.js client application and fixing some workarounds that I put in to try and improve the performance earlier. I can now render thousands more objects at almost twice the frame rate, allowing me to increase the complexity and viewing distance of the world. This video is about those performance improvements and some of the other things I discovered. So let's get going. Essentially, the big change was moving from using individual Three.js objects to using InstancedMeshes. Before you think to yourself, I know everything about InstancedMeshes and skipping this video, I have some things I want you to consider. Object field of view culling and level of detail. On high-end desktop machines with dedicated GPUs, these things may not have a large impact on performance, but on low-end devices like mobile phones and embedded VR headsets, they can have a noticeable impact. Running the Three.js InstancedMesh example on the Quest 2 and positioning the camera in about the center of the instances. In naive mode, we are getting around 85 frames per second for about 2,600 instances. Each of Suzanne the monkey's heads is a separate draw call. Now, switching to instanced mode, the frame rate surprisingly drops to about 55 FPS, even though all the heads are now being drawn in a single draw call. Switching to merged mode still does not improve the frames per second. In native object mode, meshes are removed by the view frustum culling step in the Three.js render pipeline and not sent to the GPU. In instanced mode, however, all the meshes are sent to the GPU, even though the GPU may not render the entire mesh, as it may be outside its triangle view frustum culling step. The mesh still has to go through the vertex shader on devices with a low-end GPU. This can actually decrease performance. To solve this, I allocate space for a maximum number of instances when creating the instanced mesh, but I set the count to only render the number of instances that are visible. On each frame, I iterate over the instances and move the visible ones to the front of the instant array and the ones outside the view frustum to the hidden section and reset the count. I do this very efficiently using some array insert, delete optimizations to reduce the number of reads and writes to the instance array. As a result, I get the best of both techniques. I reduced the number of draw calls and I only render the visible mesh instances. The next issue I had with InstancedMeshes was that they do not support level of detail. This is a common scene optimization technique where distant objects are drawn using a less complex mesh in order to reduce the polygon and vertex numbers. All the meshes in an instanced mesh are drawn at the same complexity, which can also have an impact on performance. Instead of using a single instanced mesh, I create one for each mesh level of detail. Using a technique similar to the method I used for the view frustum culling, I move the instances between the separate instanced meshes depending on the model's distance from the camera. This, combined with the view frustum culling, almost doubled my frame rate. I decided to package all the code I wrote to do all this into an NPM package called Polygon, so that other people would be able to use it in their projects. I still have a few bugs to fix, so I have not released it yet. If you're interested, please follow this channel and I'll let you know when it's available. In the meantime, you can have a look at an example mega city project I created to get a feel of how it looks. I'll put a link in the description. Please like or subscribe to this channel if you have found this video interesting and have got something useful from it. I hope to see you online. Bye for now. VR Me Up.